people on social media just showing you their best foot forward, their $1 million listing, but no one shows you the grind, right? The day-to-day process on what it took to get to that outcome.
But no
so
one's
then what happens is,
because it's not glamorous.
It's not.
No
It's not glamorous at all. It's not sexy.
The non-glamour of their lives, the hours and hours on the phone, the consistent, upkeep of a CRM, the massive action it takes to get out and find properties, the client who's an investor and wants a specific type of property, and combing the MLS and every contact, trying to put numbers together.
Yep.
No one's going to show you that. They only show you, I just got my investor a great deal, just closed.
Yeah.
Right? All right, ladies and gentlemen, thanks for tuning in today. My name is David Kurz. Welcome to another session of the Enterprise Coaching with David Kurz. Every Wednesday, 10 a.m. Today, we have special guest Andy Rosas with us from the How To Guys. What's up, Andy?
What's going on, Dave? Glad to be here.
I'm excited that
Doing great.
You've been making a little bit of a wave here in South Florida. People are loving what you're delivering. People are talking about the content that you're putting out. That's fantastic, man. It's always good to kind of see somebody come up with good, solid content that people want to absorb.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. It's a privilege to talk about this because no one is. So thank you very much.
It's awesome. All right. So today, just to dumb it down a bit, we're talking about habits.
Absolutely. It's going to be about habits, and no one's talking about this in the space. And I'm going to say things today, Dave, that you're going to be like, man, I've been telling my agents to do this forever. But the biggest thing is pretty much doing what you should be doing in your business. So if you give me the green light, I'll go ahead and get started, Dave.
That's why I'm wearing my fancy hat today. See what it says? It says take action.
Hey, I bought your book, by the way. So
man,
let's see how long it takes Amazon to bring it. Yep.
Got Prime, it'll be there tomorrow.
Yeah, it should.
All right, guys, let's get right into it.
All right, so guys, so as you guys have questions, I'm sure you'll see them in the chat, Dave. And then if you want to come on in and jump in as well, you just stop me and get going. But the biggest thing that I teach when it comes to real estate agents is this here. I'm going to teach you today why you say something is important to you, but you never seem to make time for it. And I'm talking about consistently prospecting, following up, just doing the things in our business that we're not. And as a bonus, Dave, I'm going to give all of the attendees today a free morning routine, because you all know that the morning routine is the most important part of your day. And a lot of realtors just start off randomly, losing control. They just do whatever in the morning, and that's why a lot of their days are not the best. So I'm going to give that out as a gift for everyone here today. The what?
What's your morning routine?
Oh my God, it's on auto. I have a list, actually, like a shopping list, and I go through step by step by step, brush my teeth, drink my coffee, put on my clothes. Like, it's literally that strategic to do so, to get me out of the house, to the gym, and then to get me fired up. So when I come back, I'm running on all cylinders. So I actually have a list, and I'm going to show you guys how to do that. Awesome. Do the same thing.
Awesome.
All right, so turn off all distractions, like I say, to make sure everyone does so. I'm gonna
and
go
you got a little
here.
What's that little thing in the middle, that no bold effects or something like that? Can you get rid of that?
Which one?
You got like a little box in the middle of your presentation. Thank you.
Did it go away now?
Yeah. Go in play mode. Let's do it.
Oh, perfect. Okay.
All right.
There you go. Better?
Yep, much better.
So let's talk habits. So there's people here watching this, Dave, and they're saying, Andy, I know what I should be doing in my business, but I'm not. About prospecting, following up, productivity. That's the type of agent I speak to. The second agent I speak to is the newbie agent. So welcome to my newbie agents. And my third agent that I speak to are my part-time agents. So you might get a lot of variations of these, right? Now, I don't know if you knew this, but there's an 87% failure rate in the business. According to the National Association of Realtors, a realtor gets your license, and after 5 years, 87% of them quit. That's a huge problem. And the biggest reason is, according to NAR, is Agents just don't prospect. And check this out, and I think you can agree with me here. When I go speak to different brokers, they say the same thing. They go, hey, about my underachieving agents, I wish my agents would prospect more, right? And I give them all the tools and resources to be successful, but they just don't. And then when you go to these events, you hear these speakers talk about, I just outwork my competition. They don't prospect as much as I do. I just work harder than them. So this is what the industry is saying about agents. And then Zillow, this is a big one. According to Zillow, over 70% of the agents, of the leads sent to agents, are not called back. So agents are paying for leads, and over 70% of the agents are not calling them back. So that's exactly why I'm going to teach you all today on this training, why that's happening and how to solve that problem.
It's funny that
now, this is why people.
I was on a webinar yesterday, and or not a webinar, a host on a podcast yesterday, and they said, number one tip you would give to agents coming into the game. I said, pick up your phone.
Yes.
So simple.
That's the number one thing.
Go with it, bud.
That's the number one thing. So a little bit about me, guys. I come from a Tony Robbins, Zig Ziglar background, and I come from a behavioral change. I'm the change expert. I teach people why they say something's important and they don't do it, right? So that's my background in doing so. Now, that's my business right there. We're the how-to guys, over 9 years in business. I've spoken, Dave, when, you've known me now for a couple of years coming in, and it's a great niche that we have. It's a beautiful thing. So that's me and Mike. So people can see who the how-to guys are right there. We belong to the Miami Association of Realtors. So we're doing some really big things, and we're changing the game in real estate. So let's get into this, right? Really quick. So let's talk about two specific realtors. One that's really doing well. So Stephanie's making $200K a year, and Tom's making $40K a year. Now, when I ask realtors, what do you think separates someone who's successful to not successful? People think goals, and that's not the case at all, because remember, broke people and successful people have the same goals. Other people say, Andy, it must be resources. Stephanie must have better tools and resources than Tom. That's why she's doing a lot better. And by the way, are there a lot of tools and resources in this market, in this business? A whole crap load of them. All these things you can do with your phone, all these lead generators, all these, and I was at the NAREP event. I don't know if you saw that, but you can see people's interest rates that they have on their loans. You can see the equity they have in their property. You can see all these things from your phone. It's insane what you can do in real estate now, right? And know about the business and know about your clients. But yet we still have a strong failure rate in the business. So there's still a problem. So it's not a resource thing is what I want to tell students. It doesn't matter about your resources. And also knowledge and education. And that's another thing that people think. When you meet a top producer face-to-face and you're like, man, that guy's doing a lot better than me. Don't you realize you're like, man, I know more than them, but yet they're still crushing it, right? The thing is, that person's taking action. So Stephanie's taking action and Tom's not. But one thing I will say today over and over and over again to everyone listening is, today is not about me teaching you about how to take massive action or about massive habits, right? It's about consistent action. And here's the thing about it. Consistent action is key. And you know this, Dave, right? If you just pick up the phone once in a while, that's not going to work for you. You got to pick up the phone consistently every single day and have conversations with everyone, everywhere you go. And the thing is, a lot of agents don't understand this, but Stephanie, she's prospecting all the time at her children's birthday party, at line and, at Publix. But the thing is, Tom, he's only prospecting when he feels motivated or when he feels like he has time to prospect. And I got to tell you this, if you are only prospecting when you feel motivated or whenever you have time, you're probably failing in your business because you can't wait for feelings and emotions to take action. And that's what I'm going to cover today. So really quickly, today is not about massive action. Today's about consistent action. Now, some of you already know this, but I'll say this. Just because you know something doesn't mean you're going to do it, right? I know a lot of know-it-alls that know it all, and they're a lot smarter than me, but they're not taking consistent action. So agents, I want you guys taking consistent action. So how am I going to do this? So let's get into the science of change. There's 3 ways to change, all right? And just like a target, there's 3 layers to it. There's a layer called outcome change, okay? Outcome change is an agent that says, I want to make $50,000 more this year. I want to lose weight this year. I want to make more money. I want a fancy car. That's called outcome change. Then you have process change. Process change is when you buy a new CRM, you buy a new gym routine, you do a juice cleanse, a new marketing campaign, an SMS and automation. That's the process that you're going to do to achieve those outcomes. Then you have identity change. Identity change is your belief levels, what you feel that you can or cannot do. So when I hear agents say, I hate prospecting, or I'm not a people person, these are belief levels agents walk around the market with that are holding them back. And we're going to talk about this because no one's talking about identity whatsoever, or I'm an introvert, or all these different things. So to sum up that summary on the science of change is, outcome change is what you get, process change is what you do, identity change is what you believe. And I'm going to tie this into realtors so they can see exactly why they're not doing what they should be doing in their business. Now, the major problem happening in real estate right now is the direction of change, meaning agents just focus on outcomes and don't focus on identity, when they should be focusing on identity, and then the outcomes take care of themselves. And I'm going to show you what I mean, because this is usually how we go about change. We focus on, I want a better relationship, I want to lose weight, I want a bigger house, I want a fancy car, clothes, jewelry, money. Now I'm beginning to sound like a rap song, right?
Yeah, no kidding.
But that's usually, exactly.
Fat Joe,
but this is usually how people
lost weight.
Exactly.
Relationship, big house in Miami.
Man, when Fat Joe lost weight, I'm like, man, that's unbelievable.
It's just now. It's not cool.
That's it. So that's usually how they do it, right? They say, I want to focus on the outcome. But think about how we're marketed to today, Dave. Like, just social media, you go to the grocery store, you see magazines. Magazines say, you know, Dave just made $12 million in 2 minutes. Let me show you how. Or Lisa just lost 20 pounds in 2 seconds. Let me show you how. We're in such an outcome-driven world. People on social media just showing you their best foot forward, their $1 million listing, but no one shows you the grind, right? The day-to-day process on what it took to get to that outcome.
But no
so
one's
then what happens is,
because it's not glamorous.
It's not. It's not glamorous at all. It's not sexy.
The non-glamour of their lives, the hours and hours on the phone, the consistent, upkeep of a CRM, the massive action it takes to get out and find properties. The client who's an investor and wants a specific type of property, and combing the MLS and every contact, trying to put numbers together. Yep. No one's going to show you that. They only show you, I just got my investor a great deal, just closed.
Yes.
Right.
And that's the problem. And it's a total disservice to agents, because agents think it's easy to just get into this business and take one action. So that's why I tell students, we need to start talking about habits and identity, because what happens is this: you want outcome, and then you think of a system to achieve to get those outcomes. But here's one thing I'll stop right here is that behind every system of actions is a system of beliefs. And I'll repeat this: everything you do it because you believe it or not believe it. So when I tell agents you're overweight, or you're not happy with your relationships, or whatever that is, on some level, you believe it. And that's why you attract it to you. And I'm going to talk about that on the next couple slides. So when an agent says, Andy, I don't prospect enough, I don't post on social media enough, I'm not productive enough, I'm not following up enough, it simply says to me that the actions they're taking are not in alignment with the beliefs they have about themselves to actually do those actions. So let me explain to you and how this works and how powerful this is. So to do so, there's two ways to make money. You either make it as an employee, or you either make money as an entrepreneur. But the majority of agents start off where, Dave? Where do you think they start off from?
Yeah, you start off with an employee system.
As an employee system, right? They all got jobs in the past. I think 99% of us started off getting a job.
At McDonald's.
But the biggest thing I got to tell you is, at McDonald's, right? I worked at Sports Authority, right? Back when it was in business.
You were much cooler than me.
We all got, it's a little bit, I used to get my Jordans from there, so it was great. So we come from an employee system, but check this out though. As an employee, and that's the thing, agents have been an employee for 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, and then they come into this business. So what happens though, as an employee, you have employee beliefs. An employee believes in structure. An employee believes in consistent paychecks. So whether they had a great week or bad week, they still get paid. And also as an employee, work always leads to a result. Meaning, so you shoot an email as an employee to somebody writes you back. You call somebody, they call you back. They pick up the phone. You set up a meeting as an employee, people actually show up to meetings. It's the wildest thing ever, right? It's like, holy cow, it actually works. But that's what an employee believes. As an entrepreneur, they believe in financial freedom, right? You can make as much money as possible. You have to work as much as possible. So you know this, right? Sometimes you work 20-hour days, 16-hour days, 12-hour days. You do whatever it takes to make your business go. And you understand this as an entrepreneur. And also as an entrepreneur, work doesn't always lead to a result. Meaning, you can be working a deal for a year, working with a client, working a lead, and all of a sudden that deal goes down, right? It breaks. The deal doesn't happen. So that realtor
in here has been through that. Every agent listening right now has been in the situation where they've worked with somebody for months on end, and then that somebody goes with a cousin.
It does. And that's the nature of this business, right? As an agent, you work a deal for months, and then all of a sudden it goes down. It's like, man, so you got paid $0 to work a deal for 6 months. That is an entrepreneur says, that's part of the business. We keep moving, right? But if you have an employee identity, that's going to crush you. So what happens is this: an employee decides that they're tired of the employee lifestyle, so they want the ability to have financial freedom. So here's what they do. They leave their job, okay? So they leave their job, they get their license, they join a brokerage, right? They get these awesome tools and resources. You give them the best tools and resources. I've seen the way you train your team. You invite speakers like me. You pour into your team. You've always been pouring into your team. But here's the thing about agents. Just because physically they're an agent or physically they're an entrepreneur, they still bring over with them their old identity as an employee. That's the problem. And that's why 87% of them quit, because when things get tough and they have to call and they get rejected and the deal goes south, and then they're scurrying around in their day, they're completely discouraged because their belief level about what this means to them, of who they are, is not in alignment. They're like, whoa, as an employee, I never had to deal with this, right? So that's why we have to focus on identity and beliefs, because check this out. Because good habits and systems make a ton of sense. But if they conflict with your identity, you will fail to make change for the long term. Meaning, we know we should be eating better. We know we should be working out more. We know we should be prospecting more. But until you don't change your identity, you're never going to sustain long-term change. And the number one question that I get when I bring this on is, people are probably asking themselves, Andy, how the heck do I know if I have an employee identity, right? How do I know if I have one? So here's the answer to that. If you have any negative feelings associated with prospecting and you're still not taking action, then you have an employee identity. So that uncomfortable feeling of prospecting is preventing you from prospecting. You have an employee identity. Let me share with you what I mean. Because Stephanie and Tom, they were both told, hey, to be a top producer, just make 20 calls a day. Just call 20 people a day, and you'll be a top producer in no time, right? It might be a couple months, but that's the process involved. But the problem was, Tom didn't have an entrepreneur identity. He had an employee identity. So he would say things like this: I'm not good at prospecting though. Like, Dave, I know you told me to make these calls, but I'm just uncomfortable. I'm not good at prospecting, or I'm not a people person. I hear this from agents in my workshops. They're like, Andy, but I'm not a people person, or I don't like
You're in
being
the wrong
uncomfortable.
business. Hey, listen, if you're watching this right now and you're a real estate agent or professional, and you're not a people person, find another career. Let your license lapse and let the rest of us get into business, or change. Make a change.
That's it. Or
Go
change.
talk to some people.
Let me help them change.
Get accustomed to having conversations with complete strangers. Practice it on the line at Starbucks. Just turn around, start talking to the person behind you. Practice it.
That's a good one. Yeah, that's a good one. Absolutely. And that's the thing I teach my students is, listen, if you're listening to this right now and you're saying, Andy, I struggle with this, I'll say, hey, don't worry about it, right? Before you quit, give me an opportunity to show you how to change that identity. Because here's what happens, Dave. You get your client, you get your agents excited. They go home. and they're about to pick up their phone to start calling FISBOs or expireds, here's what happens. An agent goes home, they're about to make the call, they feel uncomfortable, and right before they're about to make the call, they go, you know what? Let me fix my desk first. It's a little messy. And then they start organizing their desk. They're like, oh, yeah, right? Like, you know what? Let me organize my desk a little bit. I can't prospect with a messy desk. Then they sit back down and they're like, you know what? I need some coffee first though before I prospect. Then I'll prospect, right? Then wait, hold on. I gotta watch a YouTube video first, and then I'll prospect, right? So what starts to, and then this is the part where everyone's laughing at the workshop, because they all know everybody goes through this. It's uncomfortable, but here's the thing. So agents pretty much do everything around besides consistently prospect. They just take better pictures. They would rather buy a nice suit and look like a top producer. They would rather learn scripts and practice instead of, like you said, going into Starbucks and just making a connection with somebody and saying, hey, how are you? My name is so-and-so. I'm from the area. This is what I do. How can I serve? Right? They would do anything and everything around their real estate business except make true connections with people. And that's the number one thing agents need to do, right? To grow their business is to prospect consistently. That's the number one thing. So the key is, if you're listening to this saying, Andy, I got to change it. Well, the key is to make change. And I'm going to show you exactly how to change your identity. So you move from an employee identity and I move you over to a top producer's identity. So you do what Dave just says. You just walk up to people in line. You just connect with people, and it's just on autopilot. That's exactly what I teach, right? That's exactly why I'm in business, to teach this. Because, Dave, you can't give your agent success, right? You can't give it to them. And this is what I say in my workshops. I can't give you success because, listen, if I gave you the body of your dreams today and I gave you the plan to keep it, when to wake up, how to work out, when to take breaks, and I gave you the exact foods to keep that body I just gave you, if you don't have the identity tied to taking the actions needed to keep that body, you're going to lose it in 6 months. You're going to lose it in 6 months. You wouldn't be able to maintain it. It will be difficult for you to fall through.
This is consistently proven. Like, how many of us know somebody that got the stomach surgery and lost a ton of weight and then gained it all back?
Yes. I'm glad you brought that up.
There's so many of these folks out there. How many of you have complained about the trust fund baby who, has all the money in the world, but doesn't follow whatever theme you're talking in business? It's simple. They haven't identified with it. They don't understand it. And that's just what it really boils down to, right?
Amen. And Dave, here's one that I would like to give you. People see you're super successful. If you gave your business to an agent and said, hey, here you go. Here's my multi-million-dollar book of business, right? Here it is. Here are the tools that I use to do it. Here are the resources I did, all my contacts, the meetings. Here you go. Without the right identity, no one's going to be able to maintain that book of business. It doesn't matter. You can just give it to them. Because what's going to happen is this. An agent's going to go, nah, man, I'll prospect tomorrow. Or I'll give them a call next week. I know Dave told me to call these people. I'll give them a call tomorrow, right? Or I'll post on social media the next day. It's not, because here's what happens. What will happen is you give someone a $10 million book of business, give it to them tomorrow, that business will dwindle down to the current amount that agent is making today. And that's why I tell people, stop worrying about tools and resources and all that and start changing your identity, right? Your habits in doing so. Because remember, behind every system of actions is a system of beliefs. So if you want to be a top producer, you need a top producer's identity. That's it. That's the bottom line that no one is mentioning. And these agents are going around buying expensive things, but they're not focusing on the one thing that's important, which is consistently prospecting. So you got to get rid of that employee identity and you need that top producer's identity. So now let's get into the teaching on how is your identity formed and how do you form a top producer's identity, okay? So number one, we said this a couple of times already, Dave, is the way you form a top producer's identity is by creating the habits of a top producer, okay? That's the H word right there that everyone talks about. It's habits. The number one habit, though, you need to learn is consistently prospecting. Now, by definition, a habit is something you've done so much that it becomes autopilot. I don't know if it's happened to you. I'm sure it has, Dave, where you drive, right? you get somewhere, and then you're like, how the heck did I get here?
Yeah, happens all the time. As a matter of fact, my wife has
Right?
this very great specific route to get from our house into Coral Gables without hitting any traffic at 8:30 in the morning. I have followed her down that route at least 6 times. I still don't know it.
It's just great, right? We just function, and like there's so much that's unconscious that we're like, what the heck's going on? So that's the beauty, though. Over 40% of our life is on autopilot, that we don't know why we do what we do, right? That's why we had to address those habits, because some of those habits are not serving us. And this is how habits work, Dave. So it's a 4-step process. It's data, desire, response, reward. So data, an example I want to give you, let's just say you get a text message right now. The text message buzzes, that's your data. Number 2, your desire is, let me go see who just gave me, who just texted me. Number 3 is a response, where you pick up the phone and you actually check to see who texted you. Number 4 is the reward. That is you satisfying your curiosity to know who it is, right? Like that's the biology of habits. And it happens instantly. You do it without even thinking about it. Like, just like you said, you get into a car, you drive on the route home on your wife's way, you do it, and you don't even know what the heck happened, right? A lot of these things just happen. Now, to break it down to a realtor, in our program, we have what's called the 4 factors to financial freedom. This is how you break down the habit so you implement it in your business. You have to make the habit, you have to make it simple, you have to make it appealing, you have to make it noticeable, have to make it appealing, have to make it simple, and make it enjoyable. You have to hit those 4 right there. And check this out. When it comes to habits, you can't skip any one of these here. So if you're trying to lose weight, if you're trying to prospect more, if you're trying to build a new habit, and you skip any of these steps, you're not going to be able to form the habit. I get students who tell me, Andy, they join my program and they're like, Andy, I'm going to make 20 calls a day. And I'm like, well, how many calls a day were you making before? They're like, oh, I wasn't calling every day. I'm like, well, guess what? You're not going to make 20 calls a day. I'll tell you that right now. Stop it. Because what you're going to do is you're going to burn out. It's not appealing to you. It's not simple for you. And it's not enjoyable for you. That's why people who start a new diet and then they go off and start CrossFit, like, what's wrong with you? You're going to start off, right? You're going to start off making change, and then you're going to go back to your old habits, your old identity, because your old identity is like, oh, yeah, we don't do this stuff. Let's go back to eating croquetas and making no phone calls a day, right? Because you don't change the identity. That's what's so critical about that. So if you eliminate the cue, the habit won't start. If you reduce the craving, you won't experience enough motivation to actually act on it. If you make the behavioral too difficult, if you try to make too many calls, you won't be able to do it. And if the reward fails to satisfy your desire, you will never do it again. Like, yeah, I'll make the calls in front of you, Dave, when you're in front of me and you're coaching me and I got that accountability. But as soon as that agent goes back home by themselves, they won't do it.
Right, but that's
because they're going against habit formation.
And I'll tell you, habit formation is so important. I think accountability helps habits create, right? And that's why people hire great coaches, right? Because
absolutely,
it keeps them accountable. I always tell people, I own a coaching company. I coach a selected group of agents. I have a very specific standard to who I coach, and
yep. Because not everyone's for that, right? You want to select people who really want to make it work. Yeah.
These guys are not. They're already successful in their own right. They're just looking to create new habits to become more successful. So they hire me to keep them accountable and give them homework and stuff, right? And that's
awesome.
That's huge.
Accountability is huge when it comes to habit, right? And have the right tribe around you to do so, because you will become who you're around. And actually, it's not that simple. Like I want to tell students here is actually this, which goes into what you were just saying. Listen, habit formation is just not that simple when it comes to those 4 steps. Scientifically speaking, there's 15 other steps below that you can see there on that screen. What you just talked about there, it's under appealing, under tribe. You have to be around people that are holding you accountable and that are having these kind of conversations. Because if you hang around a bunch of broke and miserable agents, you're going to be broke and miserable, that are just blaming the economy, blaming the CRM for their failings, right? So there's so much that goes into this.
I call it my squad.
Now, your squad?
It's my squad.
I should change that. I like that. It's the squad. That's what it is. You become what you're around. So remember, so as you create a habit, the evidence builds up and your identity begins to change, okay? So the process of building habits becomes a process of building the person that you want to become. So if you want to become a top producer, you need to build the habits of a top producer. And the beautiful thing, David, is that I love with my students is you learn to trust yourself, because there's no better feeling than waking up in the morning and you do what you said you were going to do. It feels great. And when you're at a level 10 of happiness with yourself, you're loving yourself or honoring yourself and integrity with yourself, you're just better with your clients. You're better with your wife and your kids and your husband. You just glow. You're just in a better mood, right? But the problem is a lot of people are living a life not in integrity with what they're doing. So there's a big disconnect there. And what happens is when you trust yourself with prospecting and the habit formation, you start to do what you should be doing, specifically prospecting and becoming a top producer. Now, really quick here, what I want to do for those of them that are on, I want to do a visualization exercise that we would do with Tony Robbins, because like I told you, I come from a Tony Robbins, Zig Ziglar background, and this is a visualization exercise that we would do. It takes about a minute to do so. So if I can ask everyone that's watching this, okay, if they can just, I'm going to have you close your eyes. I'm going to walk you through a quick walkthrough, and then I'm going to have you open up your eyes, okay? Because it's going to be a powerful demonstration to show you if there's any gaps. Dave's ready for it, right? Right? To show you if there's any gaps in your life right now, okay? Because I want to see what level, I'm not going to see, you're going to see what level you're on right now, right? So here's what you're going to do. Just close your eyes. I want you to close your eyes. There you go. I'm looking at you, Dave. So close your eyes.
Lead by example, baby.
That's it. So close your eyes. And what I want you to do is I want you to imagine in 2020, how much money do you want to make this year? What's your number? Is it $80,000 more this year? $500,000? $8 million? Whatever your dream number is, I want you to think of it right now. That's your outcome. I want you to think of it. And then what I want you to do is I want you to remember that number. Now, what I want you to do is I want you to now imagine everything you do every single day. Meaning, how does your morning look? Do you wake up at different times every day? Are you pressing snooze on your alarm? Are you feeling in control of your morning? Do you feel like you're knocking out your to-do list in the morning, or do you feel like you're just reacting to whatever comes your way? Only you know this. So I want you to imagine this. What does your morning look like? Now, what does your afternoon look like? Are you feeling excited about the meetings you're going to? Do you have any meetings on your calendar? Or are you just reacting to any email or any phone call that goes your way, and you're just saying yes and no to whatever it comes your way randomly, right? Do you feel in control of your day in the afternoon? Only you know this. And in the evening, when you're done with your day, how do you come back home? Do you come back home accomplished? Do you come back home excited, in integrity with yourself, excited to tell your wife and kids or husband about your day? Or do you feel embarrassed a little bit of self-sabotage, saying, man, I was really busy today, but I felt like I didn't move my business forward. I felt like a firefighter. I felt like I was just reacting to everything. So now open up your eyes, okay? Now open them, because now only you know what you do every day, right? We may get excited right now. You listen to me, but as soon as you're done with this webinar, you're going to go back to your day-to-day life, okay? So it doesn't matter what Dave and I tell you. We're all going to go back to our own thing. So only you know. Is there a gap between that number, that dream number, that $500,000 a year? You want to make $100,000 a year, right? Is there a gap between that outcome and the day-to-day actions that you're taking every single day? In other words, your habits. Are your habits in alignment with that number? And that is the aha moment that you have to realize that, hey, if there's a gap there, I have to change my habits. I have to change my identity in doing so. So that's something that I want to give you guys as a visualization technique, because one thing that a lot of people don't do, they don't bring awareness to their day-to-day actions, because habits just run on autopilot. And then 10 years, 20 years go by, and you're still getting the same results you always gotten, but no one does the inner work to understand, are my habits in alignment with the outcomes? So remember, guys, it's not about how you're going to make more money. It's not about what you're going to do to make more money. It's about who you need to become to make more money. What identity do you have to shift? What habits you have to get so you consistently prospect and you become a top producer every single month, okay? Because if you don't change who you are, you're going to have a good start of the year, and then towards the middle, maybe chase money, and then up and down. You'll lose 5 pounds, you'll gain 10. You'll do well, then do bad, and then end up at an average life. And we all know we were not designed for average. And the good news is your identity. Go ahead.
I want to jump in here, Andy. I want to tell people that when you start doing this and you start putting this together, it will work. And when it does work, what most people will do is enjoy what worked and then go back to their old habits, because they'll say, oh, I'm making the money that I want to make now, so this will happen consistently. Problem is the habits didn't stay the same. You went back to your comfort zone, so money came back down. It is the exact reason why agents make great money one month and shit money the next month, and then great money one month and then shit money for 2 months. And no one has consistency, or at least I want to say no one. Very few agents have consistency.
Very few.
If you want to have a paycheck every month, develop the habits Andy's talking about and keep them consistent throughout the year, and you'll see growth.
You nailed it. Because Dave, here's what happens. 2 things happen. Either an agent does very well and they're like, dude, I'm good, I'm fine. But then a couple of deals don't happen, and then they're like, oh man, I got to chase money again, right? Or an agent just doesn't do well and they just quit because they're outcome driven. They're outcome driven. So they either hit the target or don't hit the target, and then they stop. That's right. Why, like you, Dave, I'm sure, like whether you get a deal or you don't care. You just keep doing what you do. Like, Dave, I was prospecting you for months, bro. You're not responding to my DMs, some phone calls and all that. It doesn't matter to me. I'm still calling you. I'm still going to keep going at it. And if it's not you, I'm going to go speak to somebody else. I just keep going. The prospecting game never ends. It's consistency. But the thing is, if I say, well, once I get Dave, I'm done. My habit business is great. No, because then I'll stop. That's why you just can't stop. People say, oh, once I make 100K, I'll be good. No, because once you hit 100K, then you'll stop doing the day-to-day stuff that you should be doing, and then you won't even make $50,000 the following year. So that's why you need to be consistent. So you nailed it, man. 100% nailed it. Now, identity is not set in stone. You have a choice in everything you do to change that. Now, the change I want to give you all today is you've got to start changing your morning. So a lot of agents in my years since 2007, I've realized agents don't have a morning routine. And this is what I'm going to give you guys today as a gift. You're going to love this, because here's what a typical day looks like for someone. The first thing a lot of people do is when they wake up in the morning is they check their phone. And I'm going to tell you this phone is doing us such a disservice. If the first thing you do in the morning is just check the phone, you are just randomly living, okay? So that's why I tell people we just have to make sure we take that on autopilot, all right? So I want to give you this nugget, all right? Before we wrap up, I want to give you this nugget. Here we go. Here's the slide I want to show you. Everything has a consequence. Everything you do has a consequence, all right? So that means, there we go. I want to make sure everyone understands that if you have an average morning, it's because some days you did good stuff and some days you did bad stuff, all right? So what I want to give you all today is, it's called a morning routine for realtors that takes into account the laws of habit formation. And in our program, Habit University, we teach this, but I want to give you something in our program. I just want to give this to you today, okay? I'm going to give you a morning routine that's going to bring self-awareness to the actions you're doing, because what happens is people wake up, they check their phone, they're on it for 20, 30 minutes, and then they're behind the rest of their day. Or they just, they work out sometimes, they don't, they prospect sometimes, they don't, very inconsistent, or they don't take care of themselves. So I'm going to give you guys a free morning routine. So what I want you to do is take out your phone, and I want you to text the word habit that you see on the screen to that phone number, guys. And I'm pretty much, after this, I'll wrap up and we're done. But this habit right here, just text the word habit. This morning routine is going to change your life. It's going to get you on the right path in the morning. So text the number 305-526-4846. Text the word habit. It's going to ask you for your email. It's going to ask you to confirm it. So you press yes or no, confirm it. And then it's going to ask you for your name. Okay. Once you have that, you're going to get a PDF, a link. You click on it. All right. And once you click on it, you're going to get a PDF, and it's going to walk you through the habit checklist for the morning routine. And you're going to go through your day, read that document, and go through it. Because, Dave, this is what I compare it to. If it's like going to a grocery store without a list. If you go to the grocery store without a list, you're SOL. You're just going to randomly buy things. You're just going to go up and down. You're going to go random with everything, right? So this morning routine, Dave is going to put everyone on a consistency. So have them check out that PDF, have them use it in the morning, and have them crush it. So that's a little freebie for you guys, for everyone watching, and you'll love that.
You also spend too much money if you don't have a list.
Spend a lot of money.
You buy a lot of unnecessary shit. So if you don't have a list for your day, you don't have a method, you do a lot of unnecessary shit.
That's it. So that's pretty much what I have, Dave. I know we're crunched on time, but I think the morning routine here, I was going to kind of walk through that. If we have time, I can walk them through it. If not, they can just download the PDF or message you, and they can go through it.
We got 2 minutes. Go.
And then, yeah, so they're going to get a text, a reminder text, an accountability text, another text to remind them again, and a text after that. Because I want agents. I want you to dominate your morning because everyone wants a morning routine. I'm giving it to you. I'm giving you a morning routine, okay? Follow the instructions of the morning routine. It's on the PDF. It's a 3-step process. Very simple, okay? And I'm going to text you to remind you to do it, all right? So that's a thank you for having me on here. I want to change the game in real estate. I really feel that agents come here with a purpose and a vision, and I want to make sure that they actually come to this industry and stay, that they don't become a number of 87% quitting in 5 years. That's my goal with all this. And that's all I got, Dave. I don't know if you want to add up anything else, but I think we did well on time.
Yeah, we did really good on time, ladies and gentlemen. We knocked it out in 45 minutes. This is typically an hour session that Andy does. A lot of you know that I'm going into surgery this morning. So we are like crushed on time because I'm leaving straight from here to the doctor. And, but
what a beast, man.
This is a great session. I'm really feeling like everyone is walking away with a ton of value. And that's something that we want to make sure that we keep doing every week. Andrew, thanks, Andrew. I appreciate it.
Yeah, man, we'll be praying for you, bro. Absolutely.
We live in a world where people become real estate agents because they want to become more successful and make more money. Let's face it, no one becomes a real estate agent because they love showing houses. No one becomes a real estate agent because they love taking pictures of houses and posting them on the MLS. No one does any of that stuff. Every single person that becomes a real estate agent does it so that they can either make more money or save more money, right? For instance, the seller that gets their real estate license so they can sell their own house, or the buyer that gets their own real estate license so they can buy their own investment properties, right? All of us, it's all money focused. So if that's the real situation, let's wake up
so true.
And realize that, and then let's set habits behind it so we can accomplish those goals. If you have no intention of accomplishing your goals, you're going to go year after year after year complaining that you have not accomplished your goals. And no one cares about your complaints, ladies and gentlemen. We just don't give a shit, right? And what I want you guys to understand that, because no one cares when you're doing on a daily basis, right? And the nosiness of Facebook and Instagram and all that is just regular human nature. So you have to care about it. You have to decide if you're going to become more successful. You have to wake up in the morning and hit the gym. Listen, it's a struggle for all of us, not just you.
It is.
Don't look at the top producer and go, it's easy for that guy. No, it's a struggle for that person too. It's creating habits for that person too. That person is
creating the habits. So it's on autopilot.
You know, like Arnold Schwarzenegger, like, you know, The Rock, all these guys, like really big, monstrous guys. They're going to gym for 3 days, 4 days, not 2 days like football players, right? 3, 4 days.
Yeah.
You know, The Rock goes to the gym for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, sometimes a snack, you know, but there's a reason behind this, and he works hard to keep that process going, and the movies and the comedy and the this and the that. And, you know, you look at somebody like that, and you go, but it's easy for that guy. Look at the size of that guy, right? Did you forget the entire process to get there? You guys remember that picture with him
Exactly.
with a little fanny pack, right? Like he was not that big like he is now, and he's much older.
That's so right. Remember that? You're right. Yeah.
You know, so I guess what I want to leave everybody with is Andy came to you today and said, change your habits and you'll become more successful. Or you can stay.
Because then you use all those tools, Dave, all those tools you give them, they'll use them a lot better when they have the right habits in place. You give them all the tools, right? Like, right, all the scripts, all the things to say, but when they have the right habits, then they'll magnify the heck out of it, big time.
Right, and it's huge. Everyone came into this business to become a winner. All of you are winners. It's just deep down within, right?
Yes.
And winning is a different kind of, everyone has a different definition of winning, right? Everyone has a different goal. Everyone has a different reason why. All you got to do is focus on that and do what Andy said today and create the habits to make that possible. Don't keep doing what you've been doing if you're not hitting the goals that you're meant to hit.
Thank you.
Because that's insanity. That's truly the definition of insanity. We talked about that last week. So a winner is simply someone who never gave up. Don't quit on this. I know there's a lot of people listening right now that are like, man, this is just not for me. Don't quit on it. Make it happen for yourself.
Don't quit.
All right. A winner is somebody who simply does not give up. That's Nelson Mandela, by the way, who said that. And it's very, very, very simple process. You wake up and you do what I call money-making activities. And if you don't know if you have good or bad habits, track your entire day for 10 days by writing down everything you do. And on the 11th day,
exactly, that's what the morning routine is. Yep.
The last 10 days and highlight everything that was a waste of your time. And then readjust your days.